This is Ray Dietz back again with SoCal Business and Basketball Report. This week we're at Mater Dei High School here in Orange County, where we have the Nike Extravaganza this weekend. And we did talk about a lot of the businesses here in Orange County a year ago, so we won't get into that. But as most people know, Southern California is a great tourist destination down in the San Diego area. You have SeaWorld, you have Legoland, the San Diego Zoo, you have the Safari Park in San Diego. And then here in Orange County, before we get into the basketball, the Palace Entertainment, parent company for Boomers, the amusement parks with the bumper boats, the miniature golf, etc. That's headquartered here in Orange County, and then of course Disney is the largest employer here in Orange County. Just to touch on Disney a little bit this year, there's 4 theme parks. They all do pretty well. In Hong Kong, that one has been a little weaker than the others. When you come out of the Hong Kong airport and head into the city, you pass the Disney. It's probably the worst location of all of them. A little bit of an odd location as you head into Hong Kong. A lot of people want to see the laser light show and a lot of the other things there. But most of the others are doing well. They have the water parks with Disney, the resorts, the timeshare, and one of the big units, direct to consumer international, with the streaming, Hulu, Disney Plus, ESPN. So they do they have the advertising sales force on that side, and it would include advertising for National Geographic, Disney, ABC, ESPN. So that's a very big unit. 3.4 billion revenue per year. Income's about a little over 700 million a year. So that unit does it quite a bit, and you can study the Disney company all night if you wanted to. There's quite a bit with it, but clearly the biggest employer here in Orange County, and then they dictate the politics. They're going to get pretty much they want, although they've had a little resistance in recent years with some of the tax breaks, but they kind of rule the roost here in Orange County. The games tonight, and right now the Mater Dei, the home team, the girls are playing, and then Mater Dei's boys team is going to play later. And most people are familiar with Mater Dei. They have basically an all-star roster. They always do well in both girls and boys basketball. But we started the night out tonight with Heritage Christian beating Capo Valley. And sophomore Skyy Clark had 27 points and 6 assists. And we have, I mean, we could talk quite a bit about how many Division I players we have here tonight and tomorrow, but I want to highlight 3 games here. And this first one was Skyy Clark. Skyy and Aiden Mahaney are really the top 2 point guards in the sophomore class, the 2022 group here in California. And to be honest with you, if I had a loaded team, I would probably want to have Aiden Mahaney at point guard because of his poise. If I needed someone to really lead my team and didn't have a loaded team, if I had a weaker complementing team, I would want Skyy Clark. Skyy's a good athlete, very solid at taking things over. And I want to keep it real with you. Skyy, I would say he has a little trouble when there's traffic, does turn the ball over a little bit, which you don't see Mahaney do. But Skyy Clark is certainly a national recruit. Aiden Mahaney at this point is more of a regional recruit. And Aiden would have offers from Cal, Stanford, several other places, whereas Skyy Clark would have offers from UCLA, Auburn, that type of thing. But they're different, little different players. And Aiden he has a state championship under his belt as a freshman, so that's where I saw a lot of the poise in that state championship game. But tonight, Heritage Christian, they just overpowered Capo Valley. Wasn't much of a game, but you did see a few of those things that Skyy needs to clean up in tonight's game. The next game I want to move to here at the Extravaganza was the Orange Lutheran Rolling Hills Prep game. Rolling Hills Prep won 51 to 49 over Orange Lutheran. And Tibet Goriner for Orange Lutheran, he had a 3-point shot at the buzzer that would have won the game. He did miss the shot, but Tibet he looks like a nice player. Pretty thin right now. He's probably about 6'6", 6'7". Looks like he may be leaning toward Nebraska right now. He can shoot the ball, and he's not going to alley-oop and stick his arm in the basket, but he can make the basket on an alley-oop. And he looks to be a solid player. I'd say not as good as Max Agbonkpolo, but I'd say both of these players kind of fit in the same category where they're thin, and you're going to have to develop them and work with them at the next level. For Rolling Hills Prep, they're at the smaller school division. I think they could challenge for a state championship this year. And JT Tan, they list at 6'8". He's in that ballpark. Big, burly senior. He'll be at Lehigh next year as a forward. He had 11 points tonight. Vaughn Flowers had 16. They're going to rely on his offense the rest of the way this year as he's a senior. And then Benny Buckets, Benny Geeler, the sophomore, had 15 points. And so he had another solid game. The first quarter, Benny just kind of surveyed the landscape, and then he started to put the ball up in the second quarter tonight. And then Troy Murphy, a solid athlete, important player for Rolling Hills Prep, grabbed some loose balls, some rebounds. He only had 2 points tonight, but he had a breakaway dunk that was a key play for Rolling Hills tonight. And then the final game I want to touch on is Jay Serra versus Whitney Young of Chicago. And Ian Martinez, a senior for Jay Serra, who's committed to play at Utah. He didn't play tonight with an injury. The final was 60 to 52. Whitney Young did win the game. It was a contested game. And the other player for Jay Serra, I'd mentioned Hugo Clarkin, a 7-footer, who's going to San Jose State next year. Whitney Young did have a 6'8" player this year, and so he physically kept Clarkin out of there, but Clarkin has some skills and made a left-hand turnaround, hit a couple of reverse layups, and so we'll see how he develops. He is 7 feet tall. And then DJ Steward had 20 tonight for Whitney Young, and he is a McDonald's All-American. You can see his offense, and he's headed to Duke University next year, so he's one of the top 30 players in the country. And when you watch DJ play, you think of Boogie Ellis from here in Southern California, where Boogie was headed to Duke, but yeah, maybe it was a good move that Boogie did not go there, because they're going to keep bringing guys in at Duke right behind you every year. And I would say Boogie's a better defensive player than DJ, but DJ has more offense. So hinging on what you need, there's not tons of athleticism at Duke right now. Cassius Stanley is there, but DJ should have an opportunity next year at Duke to play. Jayshawn Thomas for Whitney Young. He seems like a quiet kid, but he's not quiet about putting the ball in the bucket. He had 14 tonight. Tyler Beard had 11, and we saw him a couple years ago here at the Extravaganza for Whitney Young, and his offense is not as far ahead as DJ Steward at this point. So I would say, Boogie Ellis would be a better player than Tyler Beard, but Tyler has that athleticism, plays good defense as well. He's headed to Georgetown, so I'll be interested to see how his game develops through time. He had 11, as I mentioned. So that gives you a good synopsis of what's gone on here tonight. And then tomorrow, those people who are in the area, it'd be a great day to stop out and see some of the top players, not only here in Southern California, but around the country. Peyton Watson, who's in the junior class, he's from Long Beach Poly. He's a top 20 junior in the country right now. He'll be here tomorrow. Jalen Clark from Etiwanda, great defensive player. TJ Wainwright from Westchester will play tomorrow. Will McClendon and Zayon Collins from Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas will be here. Evan Mobley of Rancho Christian, the number 2 player now in the country. He previously was rated number 1 in the country. And then several other Division I players will be here tomorrow as well as Mater Dei, their all-star roster. They have a loaded team this year, and they're kind of laying in the weeds this year in the 5 to 10 range in Southern California in terms of the rankings. So very dangerous team, Mater Dei. Could certainly win it all this year, but as I say, they haven't peaked, and they're kind of laying in the weeds this year, not at the top of the ratings. So that's going to do it this week here in Santa Ana in Orange County. We'll be in a different area next weekend, and we look forward to seeing you then. Have a great weekend. Take care.